My name is Sarah and I'm one of the education team here in Melbourne. I'm an experienced teacher, as is my colleague Lydia, who is also here with us today. And she can monitor the chat for us. If you've got any questions or any comments, just drop those into the chat and she'll keep an eye on those for us. Now, our aim is to give you something that you can take back and use in your setting today. And that could be whether it's for a remote learning activity or you're doing face-to-face or you're using Purple Mash, which has Mini-Mash included, as part of your toolkit for educational tools with your students. So we're going to go to Mini-Mash, and Mini-Mash is located within Purple Mash. I'll just bring Mini-Mash, Purple Mash in here. Mini-Mash is located within here, and it's a bit like going down the corridor to your early years setting because it's designed for the 3 to 5 year olds. And within here you've got settings that you can make it so they don't have to even locate Mini-Mash, they're taken straight to it. And when they do get in there, they can use it freely without even having to log in by using the quick login shortcuts, and there's information on how you can set that up for them. And then when they do eventually log in, because they'll be wanting to save something, they'll be prompted with a colourful picture pin password, and these look like this, so that they're then faced with these pictures of animals that they can click on, and that gets them straight in. So I'm going to go into Mini-Mash.
Go outside.
So we're not going to go outside. What we're going to do is we're going to be teachers and we're going to create a resource for our students. So I'm going to click on the Mini-Mash tile here. And when I want to create something, I need to have a space to save it so that it can be in a position that the students can get to it. To start with, I'm going to go to trays. And there is going to be a sequence of going to the trays, going to the teacher's tools, going back to the trays, and then going to the pins, and all that will become clear. So I'm going to go to trays, and I could save this piece of work that I'm going to create in one of my existing trays. I could put it into my spring collection or my summer collection, but I'm going to start a tray to show how simple it is, and I'll call that tray today. I'm not going to have a soccer ball on it. I'm going to choose something else. So we could have, I can have a teddy bear, but I could put any image on there that I wanted. You can even put in a picture you've drawn yourself or your students have drawn, or a photograph or something from your computer. And you can change the colour. I'm going to go back to the tile and I'm going to choose the teacher's tools. And this is now where I can create an activity. And there's a range of different activities you can choose from making jigsaws to dragging sounds around, to creating your own quizzes. And I'm going to choose the labelling quiz to show how easy it is to make an activity that's got a real educational value to it, but relevant and engaging and appropriate for your students. When you go into this activity, in all of them, they have the videos in the top corner, which will talk you through exactly how to do everything, but I'm going to do that really quick. We've got the step through guide as well here, and you can get rid of this if you don't want to see it each time, but this will step you through what each of the buttons do. I'm going to start simply by adding a question. And my quiz is only going to have one question in it, and I'm going to have a rectangular image that I'm going to label. So now this is all set up, I've got a space here to put my image into. You just click on that space, and then you can draw an image straight away if you wanted to, or you can get one from the clip art by going up to the clip art picker, or you can choose your own image by clicking on choose file. Now this could be using something that a student's already made. You could go into one of their trays, you could find an image that they've created, and you could use that image to put that into the labelling activity, but I'm not going to use that one for today. I'm going to go and get somebody special we're going to use for our labelling, and I can get that from my computer because my students are not in school at the moment, they're remote learning, and they're not getting to see the class dog. So I'm going to drag in the image of the class dog. Now this doesn't have to be, of course, just when they're remote learning. It could be that they're on their holidays and they're not having any contact with maybe some of the friends at school that they would like to be able to spend time with, and you could use those images. So here we've got Mia, our lovely class dog. Now I could resize this. I can move Mia down and around so that she fits better into the screen. And I can record at this point as well. Within all of these tools, there's always these record buttons. So I could record a little message here saying, "Here's Mia. Can you label her parts of her body?" Okay, so we put an instruction in there that's an audio one, especially for the younger learners. That can be helpful. And then say OK on this. Now what I can do is drag in these labels. So I'm going to label her eyes, and I can put a sound onto that, just like I did with the other one. So I can easily say ears. Even though I said eyes, I actually wrote and recorded ears. So we go. So I'm going to put that onto her ears, and that's her ears over there. I'm going to put one that says eyes this time, and I can drag that one to show her eyes. And then I'll do her nose over here so that I can drag it on the other side. And I'll drag that one to her nose. And let's have her tail. She's always wagging her tail in class, so I think that's an important thing to label. Now each of these I could put the sound in as well. That one's got a sound in, so it's a slightly different colour, and I've not put the sounds on the others. Now other important features within here to support my younger learners is I can put some instructions in. So I'm going to click on the introduction screen to put the instructions in, and this is going to be label Mia. I can also drop in the image again there, like that. Again, I can record an instruction, so I could get hold of the record button there. I'll not do another recording. Then you can also put your instructions in here. So label Mia, and you can put in as much detail as you need. You can change how long the quiz or this activity will run for by clicking on here. You can make it have no time limit, and for some younger ones it's best not to put any time limit on so that they can just come back to it whenever they want to. And then there's other sounds that you can add in for when they get it correct and what the incorrect sound was. You could record your own voice onto that as well and say something, never mind, try again, keep them encouraged, and say OK to that. So we've got our activity. There are a couple of other settings in here. This one is so that you can check it. So here I've got now the preview button, so I can just make sure that I've set this up correctly so that they're going to go in the right place, the eyes and the ears, and then I could listen to that sound and check. And yes, I've got those all correct. So that's the preview. This one is where you can set it to behave in different ways. This particular setup means that they answer the questions in order, one by one, and they're given instant feedback. Because I've only got one question in my quiz, that's all they'll be getting anyway. But if I was putting in a couple of more questions, you could have it that they have to attempt them all and hand it in. It's a bit more like a test, but that might not be appropriate for our younger ones. But as they grow up through the school, they could be doing that. So that now is ready for my class to use. So I'm going to save it, and I'm going to save it into the tray that we created earlier. So I'm going to go to my today tray and save. And it's giving it a label already, and that's saved. Now, so my students can get to this, I now need to put that in a place on my classroom wall that they can get to. And that's saved. So now I'm going to go out of here. And I said before what we would do, we would be making a tray and then going into the teacher's tools and then go back to trays, because we now have to go back to trays to put it up on our wall. So I'm going to go into my today, but I'm going to click on the pencil, because as a teacher I've got this editing pencil button, and I'm going to choose the work to pin. And there's my labelling quiz I've made of Mia, and I'm going to pin that. Now if I had other work in here, I could pin it or choose not to, that it might not be ready for this week's work that we're doing, so I can leave other work in there to be pinned at a later date. So I'm going to say OK on that. That's now pinned. Now because it's got some work that's pinnable in there, I can now go to my pins. So it was trays, make the activity, back to trays to pin it, and now I'm in my pins. And I have a pinnable activity within my tray called today. So I'm going to skip down and I'm going to add tray today to my list of pins that are accessible to my students on the wall within the classroom. But I'm going to make this one starred so that it goes to the top. So that's the one that's important for them. Say OK to that. I'm going to come out of trays, back into Minimash. You see there's the today pin up on the wall. And if I click on that today pin, actually I'm going to quickly log out. And I'm going to log back in as one of my students. David is a monkey and a lion. I'll scoot back in as David. And now David, you'll notice he hasn't got any of the teacher pins. He's got the today up there on the wall. And he's got the labelling quiz to do. So he comes in, and that labelling quiz will start up straight away for him. If I'd recorded an instruction here, he'd hear it.
Here's Mia. Can you label her parts of her body?
Okay, so his instruction is there, and he can quickly or slowly label the parts. And again, you can listen to that if you
Easily
need to.
say, ears.
Ears. And then he's done that. Let's check if it's right. Oh, I did do those wrong. That's not concentrating. There they are. They can go through. You can make what sound appears for those so that he's encouraged maybe to try again if he does get it wrong. And just quickly nip back into being a teacher, just that you might want to consider as they go up through the school, they could start making their own quiz, their own activities like this, their own quizzes. So I'll just nip back in as the teacher. I'm in Purple Mash. If you go to Tools and then down in the Game Creation section, so Quiz and Game Creation, you've got Do It Yourself. And within here, you've got lots of the quizzes and activities that can be created. There's the labelling one. You could have your students creating their own jigsaw puzzles, and then they could share those jigsaw puzzles with their classmates. So again, it's a case of just grabbing an image from here, and it could be that you take a photograph of something, or you can choose an image, something that you've created. So maybe they've been doing some work with photographs and then adding images on top of the photographs, and that could then be used to make a jigsaw puzzle. So the activities are in there, the tools are there so that activities can be created that are engaging and match what your children are interested in and what their learning needs are. The PowerPoint, just to explain that it's all in here, exactly what you need to do, that you've got the way in to get to Minimash, and then what the process is when you're in there, that we have trays, and then the teacher's tools and all the different activities you can create. And then here's the process on adding a tray, creating an activity, making the tray pinnable, and choosing the work to be pinned. And then editing your pins so that they can then be shown up on the wall of the classroom. Please do let us know if you have any questions. I hope this has been useful. Thank you all for coming along today.